Today is day 25 of RM University's 90-day Jumpstart program. My name is Joseph Anderson, and today we talk about belief systems. A belief system is basically the way you see the world. A quick example: if you had a pair of glasses that was red tinted, what color would the entire world be to you? It'd be red, right? And so the same way it happens from the time that we're young, we're brought up in a certain way. Sometimes it's by our parents that our beliefs are influenced. And I just want to clarify, I'm not speaking as much about spiritual beliefs today as I am just the mental beliefs that you have about the world. Because the way that you see the world is the way that you project the world on everybody else. An example from this from the Book of Mormon shows up in the end of the verse Mosiah 1:5. And I know this concept is played out a lot through the Book of Mormon, but it says, "The Lamanites, who know nothing concerning these things, or even do not believe them when they are taught them, because of the traditions of their fathers, which are not correct." So, from the time Laman and Lemuel were wronged in their eyes, they were wronged because they weren't given the plates. As according to tradition, and back then, the oldest brother, it was given his birthright. But Laman lost his birthright as a result of making a lot of really poor choices. And so it's interesting when we look at this that because of those two simple brethren, Laman and Lemuel, they began to teach their sons and daughters that the Nephites had wronged them and that the Nephites were terrible people. So what did the Lamanites believe in their head? That the Nephites were terrible people, and that even if they died while trying to kill them, it was better than letting the Nephites live their lives. Now, when you really think about that, it seems kind of crazy, but every single person has a belief system. And to that single person, it makes sense. Their belief system might not make sense to you, but in their head it makes sense, otherwise they wouldn't operate that way. You know, it's like when you're a child, and for the first time, maybe you place your hand on a hot stove, and it hurts really, really bad. A child might get this fear of even being near a stove. Was it the stove itself? No, it was the fact that it was turned on and that the child placed his hand on the burner. But the same thing happens with us. I think it happens a lot of times in relationships. You go on a date, or you ask a girl for a date, and this person rejects you. And all of a sudden you get this feeling inside, which we call pain, that's like, oh man, that hurts. I don't want to feel that. And our body, our subconscious, really, its only job is to keep us alive. And so that subconscious, it's kind of like, hey, you might want to avoid that in the future. Now, the only difference in the difficulty with that is if you avoid ever asking a girl out, then you're not ever going to go on a date, and you're going to also experience this level of pain from not finding anybody and not continuing your earthly progression or your eternal progression. And so it kind of works both ways. And so, once there's two pains, for example, the pain of having to ask a girl out, or the pain of, not being able to continue your eternal progression, then it becomes, okay, which is heavier? So if you can learn the behavior that you want to get rid of. So let's say, for example, that you're absolutely scared to death of talking to a member of the opposite sex. You start asking yourself the question of, what is it that this belief cost me? What am I missing out on by having the belief that I'm going to be rejected and that's going to be painful? What's a new and more powerful belief that I can use and create in my head to be able to change the way that I see this situation? And then if you want to take it a step further, you start rehearsing this in your head. You close your eyes and you see yourself. First of all, you see yourself, with this person, and you see yourself being frustrated and just those feelings of pain that you experienced before. But then you make that picture crazy. You add some funny music, you go forwards, you go backwards, and you make this picture just go, totally different. When you add funny music to the picture, what happens in your brain is it actually changes. It actually shifts the way that you see that experience. And if you do that enough times, it shifts the experience so much so that you'll never see that experience the same way again. And you'll actually begin, when you think of a girl or a member of the opposite sex, you'll be able to feel totally different. And the more you do that, and the more you ask yourself empowering questions like, hey, what would it be like if I weren't afraid? What would it be like if I was faithful and courageous? and talking to this person of the opposite sex. So this is just a very, very, very beginning part on your internal belief system and on limiting beliefs. And we'll be doing some more videos on this later, because this is one of the most important things that I can teach you guys, is figure out what you feel is stopping you and then change what it actually means to you in your head. Now, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of RM University's 90-Day Jumpstart program. Once again, my name is Joseph Anderson. You guys have an awesome day.